For our 7 subscribers out there, I hope when you guys see that notification and new videos out, the first thought you have is not, oh, sigh. So man, it's so bad. I apologize, Mike. How you doing?
I'm probably doing better than our 74 subscribers after hearing that terrible intro. But no, I kind of feel bad for Joseph here because he doesn't deserve a terrible intro, right? I think that as we get right into his background and sort of statistics here, one thing you're going to see with Joseph right away is he started his first couple years more as that traditional linebacker and then transitioned here as of late into more of a rush end type guy off the edge, most of the time as a stand-up guy, but sometimes he would have his hand in the dirt. So, Mike, what were your thoughts on the sort of transition for Ossai? Did you think he looked pretty solid coming off the edge here for Texas this past season?
Yeah, and I think the best place for him is position where he can kind of use both skill sets. I think a lot of times, and maybe some of the reasons I like the film is I'm a big off ball linebacker fan, and I think he brought some of that to that kind of that down outside linebacker position, and I liked it a lot, to be honest. He's very athletic, and you could see it, high motor, pretty good at reading plays. Maybe sometimes wasn't in the greatest position to make it, but I think play awareness kind of showed a little bit. I think from the outside linebacker spot, I think that junior year with 55 tackles, I think that's pretty good when you're lined up, right outside the tackle. I think that's pretty productive, and I think that's what when you're going to get the best out of Osai.
No, I definitely agree. One thing I had in my notes is that his versatility is kind of something that we haven't seen to this point between the previous 8 guys that we've done. Most guys say Quiddy Pay, Rousseau, Carlos Basham, guys like that, Rashad Weaver. They can more play down on the line of scrimmage in terms of, you might be drafting him as a 5, but then they can transition into being a 3 tech on some downs. Well, Osai is more of the outside, 5 tech, stand up edge rusher, and then you can drop him back into coverage. So, there is a difference there, I should say, between sort of the skill sets that we've seen between him versus all the other guys we've done to this point. With that being said, in terms of his grade, I have him right around a 73.75. I thought, as Mike said, his explosiveness, quickness, and then really his flexibility and bend. The quickness was better than the bend, but either way, both really solid in my eyes. In terms of his ability to set the edge and anchor, I didn't really think he was that great there. I thought that once tackles really got into him, he would struggle disengaging from time to time, but the effort was there. And that's one thing. If you listen to our Patrick Jones video, this man's motor was something that we have yet to see in my eyes. There were plays he was chasing guys down 20, 30 yards downfield as if he was still that linebacker. And that was the number one thing that jumped off the tape to me. I know Mike said in terms of his awareness, he probably would have went a little bit higher based off that grade there. I didn't think he had necessarily great block recognition in terms of, okay, this guy's trying to reach me. What should I do? I think that he's still getting acclimated to that edge role. Whereas I do see what Mike's saying is in terms of just general play recognition. But I think that if he's going to be an outside linebacker, he does have to get better in that regard. So, Mike, what are your thoughts generally on that grade there? Does that, for the most part, coincide with what your thoughts were on Osai?
Yeah, for sure. And this is kind of just in general of what I saw. He made plays either behind the line of scrimmage or past the line of scrimmage. He very seldom made plays at the line of scrimmage, if that makes any sense. And I think that comes from his, past experiences as an off-ball linebacker. And that's where I said against the run and just play awareness, just occasionally make a splash play. There are big plays. When he made plays in the run, it was 2-3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And I think that's, but again, I totally agree with you. Just anchoring and keeping contained. I don't think I really saw anything, especially off after watching some of the prospects we have. Definitely on the lower end of that, but part of that's just generally the position he played, I guess, or maybe what Texas was using him for. But I also don't think it's going to be his skill set. No, I actually agree with the grid. I think that's probably right around where I'd have him.
I do think that's an interesting point that you bring up how Texas used him because, we're talking about him as a 3-4 outside linebacker, but, he was a lot of times the first guy outside the guard. He was a lot of times the end man on the line of scrimmage with no 4 tech just inside of him, for example. And, in a lot of instances, he was asked to anchor an entire side of the field. And that's where I thought he kind of fell short. But luckily, that's really not what I think you're going to ask him to do at the next level. I think that's definitely going to be to his benefit at the next level. So in terms of how he compares on My big board to this point, obviously, Mike has some slight disagreements, but I have him sort of right in the mid to late second round there. I know I've seen his name in the first round discussion. Mike, what are your thoughts there? Do you think Ossai should be that high up, or do you agree right towards that mid to late second?
I think that's right where he belongs. Um, Obviously, it's more like with Phillips Weaver, swap them. That's how I'm looking at this. And then Phillips Ossai, I'm not gonna lie, I think it's pick your poison. I think it's more of what you're looking for. If you're looking for that 3-4 kind of twitchy outside linebacker, maybe not just pure pass rusher, a little bit more just playmaker in general. I'm probably going Ossai over Phillips. But I think if you're looking for the 4-3 traditional, pass rusher, D end, um, contain, maybe that strong side defensive end in some different situations. Phillips is definitely a little bit more your team, but I think they're both right there. Mid second round, if I saw them go a little bit earlier in the second, I don't think I'd say it's much of a reach, to be honest.
I don't necessarily think I would either for Ossai. Obviously, I am higher on Phillips than you. I think that Phillips and Rousseau are kind of at that next tier, whereas I would have that conversation more with Weaver and Ossai. I think Weaver's more of, if you're looking for that four tech, you go Weaver. That can sometimes go down to DT. If you're looking for more of that pure outside edge guy that can drop back in coverage, then you go Ossai. So that's kind of for me where the tightness is. But yeah, I think we're overall in agreement for the most part there. You do have him ahead of Patrick Jones, though. That's one sort of point of contention I've seen on the internet in terms of those guys. So you do think that he's a step ahead of Jones from what you saw, or no?
Yeah, just from pure grade, absolutely. I think there was just a little bit more. I just like what I saw. I think the motor, I think, speaks a lot of volume, and I think you could come day one. There's a place for him on the field. I'm not saying in a consistent, three down kind of situations, but like I believe come day one, Osai definitely has a larger role to be played, and I think there also might be a little bit of a higher ceiling if he gets into the right system with the right coaching. I think Osai has a really nice ceiling if you can utilize his different talents and kind of, as I said, those things he learned from being an off ball linebacker and kind of put that towards playing that more 3-4 outside linebacker. I think there's a lot of potential there.
No, that's actually a great point. I do think his ceiling is really high, because if he attacks the practice field and the film room as with the same intensity, I should say, as he attacks these games on Saturday with that motor and just that high energy, he was not quitting on plays. He could be lined up on the left hash and there's a toss out to the right side, and he's taking a good pursuit angle and he's running it down 30 yards downfield. If he attacks the other aspects of the game with that intensity, I really do think that he's a guy who, he could learn how to shoot his hands and accurately place them on a play-to-play basis. He could learn a array of pass rush moves to add to his tool belt. I think that there is a really high ceiling on Ossai. And again, if you're a scout or a grader per se that more so values that type of stuff, maybe your scale would more accurately represent that, and then he would be graded higher, if that makes sense. We don't really account for that necessarily to a crazy extent, as you can see. I mean, some people would have Rousseau as their number one guy. I think the people who are looking for potential, they're looking for potential. But I do think Ossai is a good mix of, you're going to get something day one, but there's also a potential high ceiling there 3, 4, 5 years down the line, if that makes sense. So with that being said, Mike, you got anything else, or are we getting out of here?
Yeah, well, if you want to talk about potential, how about the potential from this freaking channel? Just killing it with all this draft insight, with all these prospect videos and all the other videos we're doing. Mike's top 100, top 50, and then just top 50 in all in one video. We
Yep.
kill it, man. So if you guys think so too, leave a like, comment, subscribe. We enjoy doing this. Hopefully you guys enjoy the videos. And with that, I think we definitely freaking mic'd up and we micing out.
Peace,
Dude.
guys. I mean, we took 4 months off, but we've had 19 videos in the last 2 weeks. So you guys better be liking it. We'll see you next video.